Morning folks, how are you? Liquid sunshine today? Okay, this is a big change of subject today. And I mentioned it last night. Depressive illness, the curse of the strong. Now, I'm not an expert in this, and I'll never purport to be. But I've heard some people recently go on and say, oh, you just snap out of it. It's easy to get out of it. You just need to change your attitude. And all these stupid things, for want of a better word. So I'm going to refer to the book by Dr Tim Cantopher. Morning, Stephen. Depressive Illness, Curse of the Strong. Available at all good Amazon bookstores. But I tell you what, this could literally change someone's life. It could actually save their life, to be honest. So if you get a chance, please share this post. So I'm not going to purport to make anything up. This is scripted. Because I'm not a doctor, and I never purport to be. Morning, Louise. The following text has been taken from a leaflet. I was given over 15 years ago. I still believe today it's the best description and advice giving and helping not only someone suffering from depression, but for family and friends trying to understand the illness. Morning, Francis. Dr Cantopher has also written the book Depressive Illness, as I mentioned. Morning, Julie. The Curse of the Strong. We all feel depressed at times, particularly on Monday mornings. But because we know how the emotion of depression feels, we tend to assume that we know how someone feels who is suffering from a depressive illness or clinical depression. In truth, though, we haven't the first idea of what the victim of this illness is going through. There's a distinct difference between depressive illness and depression. It's like night and day. And this is it. At worst, it is a glimpse of hell, which the rest of us, thank goodness, will never come near to experiencing in our lifetime. There are many misunderstandings about clinical depression. One of the commonest is that people who get it are in some way weak. This is ironic. In fact, it's the opposite. It's true. Stress-induced clinical depression does not happen to weak people, but is an affliction of people who are far too strong. Let me explain. There are several different causes of clinical depression, but by far the commonest, and the one that's dealt with here, is stress. Life sadly is getting more stressful, and as it does, it's so endemic of depressive illness is underway. Up to 1 in 3 consultations in a general practice involve patients with this illness. Morning, Karen. And yet it can be prevented. It's not difficult to treat and can be prevented from recurring in those who are unfortunate enough to suffer an episode. This illness nearly always happens to one type of person. He or she is strong, reliable, diligent, with a strong consciousness and sense of responsibility. But is also sensitive, easily hurt by criticism, and has a self-esteem which may look robust on the outside, but is in fact vulnerable and easily dented. Why should this type of person be the one to get ill? Well, the reason becomes clear when one understands that clinical depression, and here's the key, clinical depression is not a psychological condition or state of mind. It is actually a physical illness. So what is depression? A depressive illness happens when one part of the brain called the limbic system malfunctions. The limbic system is a set of nerve fibres arranged in a circuit. Essentially, this circuit acts as a complex thermostat which controls the number of systems and functions in your body. Probably the most important of these is the control of mood. It usually works well with mood returning to normal reasonably quickly after most days to day ups and downs. But like any other physical system, the limbic system has a limit. And if it's stressed beyond the point, it will break. When this happens, the part of the system that fails is the transmitter chemicals, serotonin and noradrenaline. These are chemicals which allow the electrical impulse to pass from the end of one nerve fibre to the beginning of the next one. In depressive illness, their levels rapidly fall, resulting in circuit in the system coming to a grinding halt. So what happens if the whole lot of stresses onto someone who is weak, lazy, or let's start that again. So what happens if you put a whole lot of stress onto someone who is weak, cynical, or lazy? The answer is that he or she will immediately give up, so will never get stressed enough to get ill. There you go, curse of the strong. The strong person, on the other hand, reacts to stress by redoubling their efforts, pushing themselves way beyond the limits for which their body is designed. When they start to get the symptoms, because he or she is sensitive and fears criticism and failure, they keep going, with the inevitable result that eventually something must give way. What gives way is the limbic system. If you put 18 amps through a 13 amp fuse, there's only one possible result. Stress-related depressive illness is essentially blowing a fuse. Morning, Louise. The symptoms of clinical depression, you don't need to have them all to have the illness. A depressed mood, feeling worse in the morning and better as the day goes on, and a host of losses of, and here's the losses of: sleep, appetite, energy, enthusiasm, concentration, confidence and self-esteem, sex drive, drive itself, enjoyment, patience, feelings, optimism, and almost anything else you can imagine. Pretty much everything goes. So you've identified that you're ill. So what do you do now? How do you recover? Exactly the same as you would any other physical illness. Rest and take the prescribed treatment. The trouble is that on the whole, the people who develop this condition have overcome every problem they have encountered in their life by redoubling their efforts. The concept of giving the illness, the concept of giving into the illness is an anathema. Yet you won't try to overcome pneumonia, for example, through exercise and resourcefulness. Neither can you with clinical depression. Beware of family and friends. They often give you the benefit of their homespun wisdom. Go on, pull yourself together. Get more interests. Get out more and get more friends. Come on and have a party. We'll cheer you up. If you take that advice, you'll just get worse. Remember, it's a physical condition. It's clinical depression. Rest, especially in the early stages, is crucial. This does not mean going to bed or sitting in a chair doing nothing that would give you far too much to renunciate. It does mean avoiding any unnecessary challenges, and only where possible, doing what is easy. If it's possible to take time off work, do so. If you can get someone to clean up, look after your kids and do the chores, do so. Cancel social events that you're not looking forward to. Watch more TV and do anything that really comes easily to you. So let's go on to the subject of medication, and I'll tell you, I'm not a doctor. This is Dr Tim Cantopher. It wrote this book, it talks about this. Another difficult issue is antidepressant medications. Whilst there is no doubt that it's an important part of treatment, they are a very mixed press and people hold strong views about them. Again, many misunderstandings abound. Antidepressants are not addictive, though if you come off them too quickly, you do get withdrawal symptoms. Withdraw from them slowly under medical supervision, tapering the dose over several weeks at the appropriate time. Morning. They don't work straight away and often take weeks to kick in. They do not give you a false high. Now this is important, they do not give you a false high, so you're kidding yourself if you think that's the case. Or make you better or a more creative person. Or turn you into a murdering psychopath. They don't do that at all. Above all, if an antidepressant helps you get better, don't stop it as soon as you get well. It takes the limbic system several months to heal properly, even though the symptoms of clinical depression are actually gone. They're neurosuppressors. What they do is they suppress the serotonin being used up so quickly. So it slows down the serotonin, the wearing of it. If you keep the drug for long enough, you're unlikely to relapse when you come off it. In the same way, when a plaster cast is taken off a broken leg which is healed, you can walk without a return of pain. Once the recovery starts, things get a little more complicated. You need to start doing a little more, but how much? The truth is, I don't know. But you do, because at every stage your body will tell you. You can divide activity into 3 categories: mental, physical and social. At your body's physical limit, at any point of recovery, you will start to feel heavy and lethargic. For mental activity, you find you don't take anything in. At social events, you'll find it difficult to communicate. At this stage, or before, stop. If you do, you will continue to recover. If you don't, you'll feel rotten in the next 36 hours or so. The harder you push the recovery, the slower it gets. This is what everybody doesn't understand about clinical depression. The more you push it, the slower it gets. So take your time. Even following these instructions, you will get your ups and downs, but they'll be minimised. At the beginning, there aren't many good days. In the middle of the recovery, some days are nearly back to normal and others are as bad as ever. Be aware of extreme emotions though, during this period. Your first good day isn't the end of your problems, and the rotten days that follow doesn't mean that you'll never be well. Don't overdo it on the good days and don't despair on the bad days. This is a normal recovery, and in any case, these bad days are often a message that what you did yesterday, you were doing far too much. So why did it happen? Why me? Once you are somewhere near full recovery, it's time to ask some of the basic questions, such as, what is it all for? Do you have to run my life this way? Can I say no occasionally? Learn to say no. That's the curse of the strong. We find it really difficult. What do you want from life? Why do I always have to do everything for everybody? Etc, etc. This is learning to say no. These are difficult questions, and there are probably many more, and they involve identifying chores or choices that you have in your life and making them. If you don't think you have any choices because of your commitments and responsibilities, you're wrong. But you may have to give up on your image of yourself as perfect. And a perfect mother, a perfect father, a perfect employer, a perfect friend. Sometimes you just got to accept you are where you are. Help is available. It isn't always easy to identify this on your own. This is when a counsellor or a psychotherapist comes in. There are many different forms of psychotherapy, but they can be mainly divided into exploratory, or cognitive, and behavioural. There is no right or wrong type. They all work for different people, for different people, depending on a particular route of their illness. It is, however, important that you find someone you feel comfortable with, and if you don't give up. If you need help, find someone else. The essential point though is the effective treatment isn't a matter of drugs or a change. The essential point though is that the effective treatment isn't a matter of drugs or a change of lifestyle or psychotherapy, but is often a combination of all three. Remember, it's not just one magic thing that will do the difference for you here, if this is you. After all, it's down to you. If you have to change the way you operate, and maybe the way you think, you have a great chance of remaining not only well, but happy too. So the 12 essential facts about depressive illness. And I must say I was very ignorant about this until I read his book. It's a physical, not a mental illness. It happens to the strong, not the weak people. It is not the same as feeling depressed. You know how a person suffering from this feels. You don't know how a person suffering from this feels unless you've had it yourself. You cannot simply pull yourself together. It's what a lot of people think, and I was ignorant of that too. It's not the case. It gets better eventually, sooner or later. It gets better quickest if you rest. Antidepressants are not addictive. Antidepressants usually take a few weeks to work. So don't stop taking your antidepressants as soon as you feel better. That's not the answer. You have to talk to your doctor. When recovering, increase your activity slowly as your body dictates. In order to stay well following recovery, you need to make changes to the way you operate and possibly the way you think. And this is what we spoke about in my previous episodes of Millionaire Mindset. And that's it. So hopefully that's given you an insight into what depressive illness is all about and the difference between that and feeling depressed. So, that's me for today. And share with love with everybody else, because I'll tell you, not everybody else will know about this, so it's great to share and let everybody understand what other people are going through or in this position. And I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30. Leave Mouth Together today. All the stalls are set out for social distance market. And I'll be live on our Leaving Facebook page at 10 o'clock or 10:30, thereabouts, showing you all the stalls. So I'll see you later tomorrow at 7:30. Bye.